Hi everyone, so I am making a quick video for you on irrationals on a number line. All right, we've had some topics together in live class, but on Monday we're going to kind of keep on going, so I wanted to make sure I took care of Thursday and Friday's lesson for you. So watch this quick video before you go through the rest of the lesson on your own. So welcome irrationals on a number line. As if we were in class, here's a little bit of a warm-up for you. So I want you to go ahead and use your calculator, your Desmos calculator, and go ahead and let's go through solving these and simplifying them. So go ahead and plug in the square root of 16 into your calculator. Go ahead and get an answer. Square root of 8, pi over 2, and 2 over 3. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pull up the calculator so that we can look at how to do this if I were going ahead and doing this on my own. So it's going to probably pop up here in a little window, I hope. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and expand my keyboard here. I'm going to put in the square root of 16. Right when I do that, you can see that it really quickly spits out an answer. So 4. So over here, I'm going to just grab my pencil. This is going to be equal to 4. All right. Continuing on, the rest won't be so easy unless you know 2/3 is a fraction. That might be good. So we want to go ahead and get to the next line. So you're going to go ahead and push this return button right here, and it takes you to line 2. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and do pi over 2. So I'm going to use this pi button. Now there's a couple ways that I can do a fraction here, but I'm going to just go ahead and use the slash on my keyboard. And put that in, and so it just kind of pops it into a fraction right away. And I'm going to go ahead and push 2, and you can see that it's giving me an answer there. Pi over 2 is equal to 1.5707. I'm going to go ahead and round to the nearest tenth, and so that 7 is going to definitely push up that 5 into a 6. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is about a 1.6. All right, continuing on, now we have the square root of 8. So I'm going to go back into my calculator, return because I'm done there. And now I'm going to do the square root of 8. Again, that spits out an answer right away, rounding to the nearest tenth. This time the 2 will not push up the 8, so it's going to stay 2.8. All right, and then finally we have 2 over 3. Now, if you've been paying attention in 6th or 7th grade, this is a super common fraction. 2/3 is actually the 0.6 repeating. I call this one the evil fraction, right? Because it just kind of goes on and on and on with 6's. But if we go ahead and round at one point, that 6 is going to pop it up to a 7. All right, so you can kind of see this written as maybe 0.6 repeating. All right, some people might take it out a couple spaces and then say that it repeats. All of that is okay, but the 0.67 kind of stops it from that repeating point there, and so you can kind of get it a little bit better when you're going ahead and comparing these. Now, what would you be able to do with these? Well, now that they're in decimal form like this, we can put them in order however they want us to put them in order, and that's really what this lesson is about. All right, so you're going to be locating irrational numbers on a number line. All right, you want to use this vocabulary. You want to get familiar with it. And then you want to explain how you can find them on the number line. But y'all, it's super easy. You're just going to put it in your calculator. All right, and so when we put in the square root of 2 into our calculator, you can kind of see here, I already have it done. You can get that 1.41, and then it kind of goes on and on and on. But really, we just kind of want to round to whatever it tells us. So I just kept it here to the 10th place. That's fine. All right. Going on to the second one, if we have square root of 7, again, putting it into our Desmos calculator here, maybe we want to round to the 100th place. All right. And so then that 5 is going to definitely push up that 4 into a 5 because of our rounding rules. I got a lot of questions on rounding. We also had a lot of missed questions on rounding. So I wanted to kind of put these here so that you could see that if we were rounding to the 10th place or if we were rounding to the 100th place, Those are going to make some differences. But now that I know these, I can now see where they are on the number line a lot easier than just looking at the square root of 7 or the square root of 2. I can actually see and place it and estimate where it's going to be. All right, and so let's look at a couple more examples here. You might see something like this. Plot these on the number line. All right, well, in order to do that, we have to figure out what each one of these are. Okay, and so again, popping up my calculator. If you want to clear what's here, you just go ahead and push this little setting here and then go ahead and delete all and you start from fresh. All right, and so again, square root of 10, put it in. I'm going to get 3.16. So just over here on the side, you want to make a note, 3.16. If I were looking and trying to plot this on a number line, here's 3.5, right? So 3.16 is probably somewhere here, and then I would just label it as square root of 10. All right, and that's what you're going to do kind of with all of these here. And so if you look at any of these, let me see. Do I show you on this next one? No, I don't. That's just another example. All right, so then we just do a couple more. So let's look at square root of 27. So I'm going to go back, put in square root of 27. A good way to kind of like start checking yourself here is the nearest square root would be where these whole numbers are. So I'm getting for square root of 27, 5.196. All right, so 5.196. I'm just going to go ahead and write that right here, 5.196. All right, and now if I were going to plot this, again, 5.5 is directly in the middle of 5 and 6, but 5.16 might be like right there. All right, and so then I would just kind of label it square root of 19. Now, I want to kind of show you something because when we started off in class, we were talking about squares and square roots. Well, each one of these whole numbers here are going to be kind of some square roots that we know. All right, and you might be kind of picking up on that because when we did square root, I'm sorry, not square root of 19, y'all. That was square root of 27 that we did. Hello. My bad. Why didn't y'all tell me? Just kidding. All right, so it's square root of 27. Now, when I think about 27, think about a perfect square that we talked about. If anyone can remember, hopefully you remember square root of 25. And maybe you remember square root of 36. Well, if I take the perfect squares here, I'm going to get a 5 and I'm going to get a 6. So does it make sense here that square root of 27 is going to be somewhere here in the middle of 5 and 6? Yeah, it does. And when we turn on our calculator and we're actually verifying it with the calculator, we can actually see that that number does come out, in fact, to in between 5 and 6. So really, main thing I want to tell you here is you're using your calculator. Know how to use this calculator because that's what's going to help you plug it in on the number line. All right, so just kind of skipping ahead. Write the letter that identifies with each of these positions. Well, in order to go ahead and do this, again, you're going to need that calculator. But I can tell you right away that this negative and this negative are definitely going to be A and B. I'm not sure which one is which, but it's really easy to figure it out by grabbing my calculator and putting in my negative sign here, then a square root, and then a 3, and seeing that I get negative 1.73. So I'm going to just go ahead and make a note of that, negative 1.73. And so now I'm looking really in between negative 1 and negative 2 and -3. Well, where is negative 1.73 going to be? It's going to be in between that -1 and that -2. So we know for a fact that this one is letter B. And process of elimination would say that this one has to be letter A. All right, now the other ones that y'all are looking at here, I think 5, 7, 14 should be relatively easy. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3/4 because I know I'm going to get a lot of questions on how do I put that into the calculator. So again, we're just going to do square root, and then I'm going to write like my fraction. So 3, the slash, the 4, and notice that that's under the square root there. That's how we want it to look. That's exactly how it is on the notes. All right, and so I'm going to make a little note here that it's 0.866. And if I think about this number as a decimal, I know it's going to be between 0 and 1 and really close to 1. If we think about money, that's like 86 cents, all right? It's going to go and almost be $1, right? So we know that that's got to be letter C. The calculator is your friend here. All right, so square root of 3. I think we just did this one on the last one. All right, that 1.73, except this time it's going to be positive, right? So where is positive 1.73? Well, that's going to be in between our 1 and our 2, so it's got to be letter D. Square root of 133. Woo! All right, well, I know that square root of 144 is 12. I also know that when I square 11, I'm going to get 121. So I know that the square root of 121 is 11. Well, isn't the square root of 133 right here in the middle? Yeah, all right. And so we know, again, this is going to be point D, but it's letter A. I hope that this kind of helped. We didn't have a live